Woohoo! Looks like the ninjas are gonna put the Crystal King in his place too. And what is that place? It's the trash!
Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duck Bricks. I'm Chris, and LEGO just launched a brand new video game that has some pretty major Ninjago elements, and that is LEGO Party. So what is LEGO Party? It is a party game for up to 4 people to play a series of different mini games competing across a large course to earn gold bricks, earn studs, and then unlock different skins to play as. And there is a ton of Ninjago content in this game that is surprisingly accurate and lore relevant to the TV show. The designers of the game really did their research when crafting the Ninjago World, and there are things in this game I never thought LEGO would put in a video game coming out in 2025. So let's jump into the Ninjago parts of LEGO Party right now. Ever since the LEGO Ninjago movie game, Ninjago fans have been asking LEGO to make a full-on Ninjago game for years. And while we've gotten a couple of mobile or DS games like Shadow of Ronin, and even a ton of unlockable Ninjago minifigures and buildings in one of their more recent games, LEGO Horizon Adventures, we've never really gotten a full-on game based on the show until kind of now. LEGO Party obviously is not just a fully Ninjago game, but I genuinely was really impressed by how they were able to pull together so many different elements from the TV show and make it actually make sense within this game, and specifically reference key moments, characters, and villains from the show. So LEGO Party is developed by the SMG studio, and that is a different studio than the one that normally works on LEGO games, which is TT Games. LEGO has been branching out with all sorts of different games lately and trying out different game studios to develop their experiences, which I think is a really good idea, just to have a lot more variety when it comes to different types of LEGO games. In that sense, LEGO Party is unlike really any other LEGO game that's ever been released. It's very similar to Mario Party, where players compete across a number of different mini-games to claim a total amount of golden bricks and studs, which they can use to win games as well as spend it on items in the shop. And there are a lot of things to do. The main game mode consists of players traveling through themed worlds, and throughout all of these worlds they can play a number of mini-games. The recommended number is 10, but you can go down to 8 mini-games or even go up to 12 or 15. And essentially, throughout each mini-game you have the option to win studs and golden bricks, and whoever has the most golden bricks by the end of the entire gameplay session is crowned the winner out of a group of 4. While it does require 4 people to play, if you have less than 4 you can always add in some of the AIs and CPUs, and when playing both by myself and with my friends, I found the AI players to be remarkably difficult. Even on normal difficulty and not even hard difficulty, they were very, very good, and the game actually is remarkably challenging. I was seriously impressed by the difficulty of many of the mini-games. This absolutely is not the kind of game that can only be enjoyed by kids. For the most part, I had a lot of fun playing this with a lot of my other friends who are also adults, and we all had some trouble beating the CPUs, so this genuinely is quite a challenge. But the reason for this video is to highlight all of the Ninjago components, which obviously were the most exciting to me personally, but I'm sure are very exciting for all of the other Ninjago fans in the audience too. So there are a number of worlds in LEGO Party, and right now there are 4 key worlds. There's LEGO Pirates, LEGO Space, LEGO Theme Parks, which kind of is a blend between CMFs and costume characters, and then finally LEGO Ninjago. Now, full disclosure, I have only played on the LEGO Ninjago area. I haven't really gotten a chance to play on any of the other worlds yet. I'm sure I will at some point, but I really wanted to prioritize doing everything Ninjago related that I possibly could, and this was a ton of fun. Essentially, they have brought in a lot of different worlds of the Ninjago TV show that you can play through as you progress through minigames. While the minigames themselves are not really Ninjago themed except for 2, and we'll go into those ones in a second, the entire map is themed around Ninjago. So after you play certain games, based on your position in finishing the game, first, second, third, or fourth, you get to choose from a randomly selected dice roll and move forwards through the Ninjago world. The main zones covered are the Dungeons of Shintaro from Season 13, Master of the Mountain. You have the Oni Temple from Sons of Garmadon, but also mostly from Crystallized, where you can face off against the Crystal King. You have the Desert of Doom, so there has been an entire brick-built Aspherus Pyramid and Firefang to fight. There's the Never Realm, where you can go and battle against Zane's Ice Golem, which was a pretty niche and very specific opponent to fight, especially because that was never given any official LEGO set. So it's really weird to see that in the game. And of course, there are multiple different areas in which you can build or choose your path. So about halfway through the game, the entrance to Cloud Kingdom will appear, and it is actually remarkably accurate to the TV show, where you can see the mountain where you have to enter through the blind man's eye and do air jitsu to get up to Cloud Kingdom, which is really close to how it appears in Season 5 Possession. Alternatively, as you're building out the map, there are a couple of different options in which you can choose to explore. You can choose to either build the Destiny's Bounty or the Temple of the Dragon energy cores from Dragon's Rising Season 1, and landing on specific spots in those areas will trigger in-game events. At the same time, you can also choose to create Garmadon's Dark Fortress from the pilots of Ninjago going all the way back to 2011, which is so crazy to see. It's actually a fully new built-up model. It is not the official model from the set. It looks a lot closer to the TV show, which is really, really cool, but also has that iconic skeleton on the front of it. Or you can choose to make the Misfortune's Keep, Nautocon's Sky Pirate ship from Season 6, Skybound, and you can actually face off against Nautocon in a bit of a mini boss fight. Throughout the game, there is a dragon bridge, which is kind of themed around the dungeons of Shintaro, where the Griefbringer dragon will fly over it and attack players at random moments, and you also have the option to face off against the lava monster that Cole battled in Season 13, Master of the Mountain, which also never got an official LEGO set, but here has a pretty cool LEGO build that I'm really curious if somebody will try to recreate physically. And of course, the big elephant in the room is Prime Empire Season 12 of Ninjago, which literally focused on the ninja going into a video game. While there aren't any Prime Empire themed parts of the Ninjago world, there is a minigame that is basically stop, drop, and side scroll from the episode of the same name. That's literally what the minigame is called, and it is very close to the actual look and feel of the game as seen in the episode, which is really cool how they actually recreated that one particular episode as a minigame, because it just makes for a perfect video game, because that's the way it was essentially designed. The only other Ninjago themed minigame I was able to find was a game where you're standing in the monastery and trying to throw swords into a center spinning disc. Honestly, it is not the most themed around Ninjago. It obviously doesn't reference any one particular episode, but it's a fun enough minigame to try to throw swords quick enough to gain certain points and double your score. Of course, that covers the Ninjago world, but the entire point of the game is to collect different minifigures that you can play as and essentially act as your skins in-game, and there are a lot of Ninjago skins. In fact, trying to name them all would be near impossible, but I'm gonna try to do it right now, because I went through every single part of the game in order to find and check out as many of the Ninjago skins I possibly could. The selection of minifigures is pretty strange, and I don't know if these would have been my top picks being able to draw from all of Ninjago, but here goes. Obviously keep in mind that due to the gameplay, they couldn't include any four-armed characters, so while Nautocon and four-armed Garmadon do appear as bosses in the game, you can't actually play as anybody with four arms. So first off, we have Lloyd from his crystallized outfit, Clutch Powers, Jay from Dragon's Rising, the urban version of Sora, which is really weird because there's the regular version of Sora elsewhere in the game, Avatar Pink Zane, which is awesome, I think that's one of the best ones they included, Flintlock, randomly from Season 6, Pixel from Ninjago Core, Misdemeanor, Nia as Samurai X from Crystallized, Ronin from his Day of the Departed appearance, which is also very strange. You have the Crystal King, but in his two-armed variant, as seen in one of the sets. The Vengestone Brute. The Mechanic, with the wrong face, actually, because it's using his crystallized face instead of the regular one. Urban Cole, which is a super random one, and I can think of a million other versions of Cole that would have been more interesting, but you do have that. Red Visor, which is a cool one to include, again from Prime Empire. The Wolf Mask Warrior from Dragon's Rising Season 2. Racer 7, which is awesome because you have the Bionicle t-shirt in the game. The Boa Destructor from Core. Harumi from Ninjago Crystallized, Jordana from Season 2 Part 1 of Dragon's Rising, Empress Beatrix, the main villain from Dragon's Rising Season 1. Then you have a series of unlocks if you keep on playing in the Ninjago zone, and gaining XP from there. So you have the Dragon Power Spinner version of Kai, Nia from the Island, Dragon's Rising Cole, Crystallized Jay, Dragon Power Lloyd, Lord Garmadon from Ninjago Legacy, Sensei Wu from Core, and then finally the Golden Ninja version of Lloyd from Ninjago Legacy, which is a really cool looking figure in-game. Kinda wish they went for the classic Lloyd minifigure, but honestly I feel like that's also a really good one to get. There's a number of other minifigures that are around Ninjago that can be unlocked if you play the game for insane amounts of time, and while these were grayed out silhouettes, I was able to figure out what most of them are. You have Skylar from Crystallized, Wildfire from Dragon's Rising Season 1, the regular version of Sora, which is really weird because it's identical to the urban version but just wearing the actual cat ears for the mask. You have the Legacy version of General Cryptor, you have another one of the Orange Whippers from the Ninjago Core, you have Aaron in his urban outfit, but I didn't spy a regular Aaron, which is kind of weird. You have Akita, which is actually really cool. That one is a strange one to include, but I'm happy to get it. You have Kai in a ninja suit that's probably the crystallized version of Kai because that would go alongside the other members of the ninja team. You have Harumi in her avatar outfit, which you can see in some other pieces of gameplay. You have Oni Garmadon, which is probably the one I really want to unlock the most, but that needs 90,000 XP, which is hours and hours of gameplay. And then finally, you have one last outfit, which looks like Cole from Crystallized. From there, those were all of the Ninjago-themed unlockable skins that I could personally find. But once you unlock minifigures, you actually have the ability to customize your character as well. So you can make your own character should you wish, which is very, very nice, and I love that you have that option to just make your own custom characters and go crazy. Strangely enough, you have the Skull Sorcerer hat included for the customizable hats, but I could not detect the Skull Sorcerer as an unlockable minifigure. I imagine this was just put in there for the gameplay because the Skull Sorcerer has a skirt, which doesn't really work with the way the minifigures are meant to be worked with in this version of the game, so that might have just been included for a customizable option, but who knows, maybe there is a secret Skull Sorcerer unlock as well that I wasn't able to find. But for what it's worth, only the hat was available in the customizer and no other parts of his body were, so I'm thinking that's just something they threw in as a bit of an extra. So, altogether, once you have selected your minifigures and are ready to play, you can pair up against your opponents or against CPUs who you can also choose their appearance of, so of course I had to be playing against other Ninjago characters, and then you can properly start the game. I didn't really talk about the actual gameplay itself outside of the Ninjago themed things, and honestly I do really like a lot of the gameplay because I feel like almost every single one of the minigames are very fun, they're easy to get the hang of, and you actually get the chance to try them out as a demo before the game actually starts, which is really nice. As you begin your game, you can see a map of the Ninjago zone of LEGO Party, showcasing all of the different themed areas, which is very, very cool. Obviously, the monastery is in there as well, as kind of your main zone. And as you get into the game, the hosts of the game appear flying the Raid Zeppelin from Ninjago Skybound. It's an interesting choice for them to be flying that, but again, it's cool to see just something random pulled from Ninjago's history. The games themselves are very fun, as I mentioned, and there are over 60 mini-games, which means that it's nearly impossible to play them all, even after multiple sittings. I had a lot of fun with some of them, and others were very, very frustrating. The controls on a lot of them do take a while to get used to, and maybe this was a skill issue, but somewhat embarrassingly, I ended up near the bottom 2 on almost all of the games that I played, at least when I finished the round. There were certain games that I was actually really good at. For instance, there was a game where you could see a swirling pile of pieces, and then you had to figure out what model in front of you the pieces could be used to make, but I feel like those are very LEGO specific games, and that's what I liked. Some of the games were more based around memory or memorization or using your mind instead of just having to be quick with controls. Other games were very much based on speed. Other games were based on being able to beat out your opponents in a race, and there were so many different types of games. In fact, there are other types of game modes you can play as well if you don't want to sit down for a long session and play 8 or 10 games in a row throughout the Ninjago area. You can instead just play individual minigames, you could work to get the high score on different minigames as well, and there are other options where you can select from themed groups of minigames. So for instance, there was an option where if you just want to play the games that are more based around your mind and not based around actually being able to compete, you could choose to play in those. So there's like a memorization game, there's a game where you could try and figure out where the bricks fit in a certain puzzle to kind of create these finished builds, and those ones were a lot more fun for me because they were a lot less quick skill based in terms of being able to navigate through like a race or a battle or a course, and they were a lot more focused on trying to use your head to solve problems or puzzles very quickly. However, I did also really enjoy a lot of the other mini-games, and I would say the vast majority of them were focused on combat in a free-for-all video arcade where there's specific objectives you need to complete, such as pushing all of the bricks over to one side of the screen or smashing one of your opponent's vases in a museum. There was even one themed around getting to a spaceship on time, but the controls are inverted, so you have to kind of get used to that. There were so many different games, and honestly, it was a total blast being able to play this, but I will say easily my favorite part of playing this game was finding the Ninjago elements and trying to see what elements they actually referenced in the show. And there were quite a few funny references to the show where clearly the writers and developers of the game at least did their research on very specific aspects of the show where they could pull random things out of a hat and just drop random Ninjago lore. It was honestly kind of bizarre just hearing that in a modern LEGO game, and let's hear some of those right now.
Oh, it's the Ice Behemoth from when Zane turned evil. Sorry if that's a spoiler, but you've had ample time to watch it, folks. They're building Misfortune's Keep, home to Nauticon, the Jid.
If someone triggers that event space, a lot of people will be losing their power-ups.
But going left means visiting the Desert of Doom and the Oni Temple. Oh no! The lava monster from the dungeons beneath Shintaro Mountain! It is super bad news!
So what's this slippery customer called, Ted?
Fire Fang. He was conjured from the lava in the pyramid.
They timed it perfectly, which means Kai, Cole, and Zane are getting called in to bring the heat.
And he summoned a dragon, the Grief Bringer!
That looks like bad news for anyone on the bridge. Well, who's this tall shard of evil, Ted?
It's the Crystal King, the bad guy from Season 15 of Ninjago.
Overall, I definitely would recommend LEGO Party, especially in a group of friends. The mini-games were seriously challenging, and anybody who goes into this game thinking it's going to be easy because it's a LEGO game has another thing coming, because a lot of those games were very, very challenging, and it seriously is a lot of fun to try and see who will win. Now, in terms of the Ninjago content of the game, I have to say that while I love all the references and the attention to detail, and seeing some of those incredible builds like a Sphere's Pyramid, and a built-out Shintaro dungeons, the choices of what they focused on in-game are pretty strange to me, and I definitely would have wanted to see at least a couple of other things. I tried to write down what all of the references I could find are, and there were some that were super skewed in one way or the other. Just going through a list of Ninjago media, from the pilots in 2011, we just have Garmadon's Dark Fortress as a part of the map. Nothing from Season 1, which is super, super weird. I would have loved to see like a classic Lloyd, or maybe one of the Serpentine there, but literally nothing from Season 1. For Season 2, we just have Legacy Golden Lloyd. For Season 3, we just have Legacy Cryptor. Nothing from Season 4, Tournament of Elements, which was super weird because I feel like that is one of the most popular seasons of Ninjago, and there's not even any of the Elemental Masters or anything like that. Season 5 has the Wailing Alps going to the Cloud Kingdom, as well as the Deepstone suits they used in Possession in all the ninja cutscenes, but it's a weird choice to represent Season 5 with the Cloud Kingdom and Wailing Alps. I would have loved to see something Ghost related, but maybe they tried to leave Ghost out of the game because of different regions this game is released in. I don't really know. For Season 6, you have the Misfortune's Keep with Nauticon, plus an unlockable Flintlock minifigure. Day of the Departed just has Ronin as an unlockable minifigure, and then you have nothing at all for Seasons 7, 8, 9, and 10. And some would say that Seasons 8 and 9 are some of the best seasons of Ninjago, so to get basically nothing from them is a little disappointing. For Season 11, we have a lot of stuff: a Sphere's Pyramid, the Fire Fang, the Ice Golem, and the Neverrealm, plus the unlockable Akita minifigure. Season 12 has the entire Stop, Drop, and Side-Scroll minigame, a Red Visor, Avatar Pink Zane, Avatar Harumi, and Racer 7, if you count that version of Racer 7 from Season 12. Season 13 has a big part of the game, and that's where you begin your Ninjago adventure in Shintaro with the Lava Monster, Griefbringer, and the Skull Sorcerer's hat that you can unlock. For Season 14 or the Island, we only have the Island Nia as a minifigure to unlock, and it's really strange how we have that, but maybe not the Energy Nia figure, which I think would have been just a cooler minifigure in general with the transparent blue. Season 15 by far has the most stuff. You have the Oni Temple that you encounter with the Crystal King boss, you have all 6 unlockable ninja fugitive suits, you have the minifig for the Crystal King, the Vengestone Brute, Skylar Harumi from Crystallized, Misdemeanor, the Mechanic, and Oni Garmadon. So by far the most unlocks. And then Dragon's Rising Season 1, as well as Season 2, just have minifig unlocks. So Season 1 has Beatrix, all of the Dragon Power Spinner Figs, Dragon's Rising Cole, Urban Sora, Regular Sora, Urban Aaron, and Wildfire. Again, a weird selection of minifigures. And then Dragon's Rising Season 2 just has a Wolf Mask Warrior and Jordana. For Legacy/Core, we have both of the Mango Whippers, the Monastery, Legacy Garmadon, Urban Cole, which is strange, again, out of all the outfits to pick, Core Pixel, which is good to get, and Core Wu. So out of those, I love the Ninjago representation in this game, and every single time something does appear, they do reference it very specifically using lore from the show. So again, it seems like they did their research, but also just didn't really know what exactly fans wanted to see included in this game. I think a lot of folks would have been a lot more excited to see stuff from Season 1, or even a bigger focus on Season 4 and 2, and I understand that the stuff they included are technically more relevant to modern Ninjago, but even then, a lot of the Ninjago map is mostly Season 11 and Season 13 based, and I don't really know how relevant those seasons really are in the overall Ninjago zeitgeist nowadays. Still though, it is very, very cool to see a ton of new Ninjago video game content in 2025, and while at this point it's probably impossible to get a TT Games style Ninjago game that goes through the story, they barely were able to do all the Skywalker Saga movies, and that was a pretty contentious game overall, and Ninjago has way more content than that. It is still really cool to see all of these Ninjago elements just plucked out of the show and given a lot of love. I would love to see people try to recreate physically many of the builds in this game, from the Oni Temple to the Desert of Doom Pyramid to Zane's Ice Golem, which certainly wouldn't be a stable build, but one that would look very, very cool. I would be really interested to see what is actually buildable physically, and I loved going around the map and playing all the different mini games that you can get your hand in. So overall, LEGO Party seems like it's a ton of fun. It's hard for me to give a full-on review of the game in depth because I've really only played through the Ninjago parts of it, and I literally have not even touched pirates or space or theme parks, which also seem to be a major part of the game, but as far as the Ninjago content is concerned, it was a lot of fun. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of LEGO Party? Have you gotten a chance to play this game yourselves? And are you planning on trying to unlock all of the Ninjago content in this game? And let me know in the comments if you want to see me try to unlock everything, because that will take a lot more time, but you know what, if enough people want it, we'll see if I can maybe do a video unlocking every bit of Ninjago content from this game. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Bye for now.